deployment of all United Nations forces. Units of this brigade were among the last to leave the rubble that had once been Korea's capital. On its way back, the convoy passes the rusting skeleton of a Russian tank, one of those knocked out during last year's UN offensive. North of Suwon, U.S. forces, supported by tank units, prepare to dig in to fight further delaying actions in support of the redeployment. By holding the Chinese forces at bay from a series of selected defense positions, the 8th Army's withdrawal from above Seoul is successfully completed with extraordinary order and precision.
About this time, the 1st Cavalry Division was withdrawing to the south below the 38th parallel, just west of Seoul. And with the 1st Cav, with the 5th Regiment, was Corporal Tom Miller. Well, Tom, are you pretty proud of this outfit, 1st Cavalry Division?
Yes, I am.
How long were you with them?
3 years.
Saw occupation duty and...
In Japan. We pulled occupation duty before we left for Korea, which was on the 18th of July.
Tom, you were with the INR platoon, weren't you? Just what does an INR platoon do?
Well, the missions of an INR platoon is to go out and contact the enemy without getting in a fight them, find out their positions, their gun positions, and how strong they are in manpower, and what type of weapons they use, and get it back to headquarters so that they can take it and break it down, base their attack on our information.
Could you give us an example of how you operated?
Well, such as one patrol we went out on, we crossed through the lines, and we were receiving some information from a Korean woman. And she told us that there was 8 Korean soldiers sleeping up a draw with 1 automatic weapon. So we ventured up there to check on them, and we found out that there was 8 up there, but she didn't say nothing about the other 300 on the surrounding hills. So when we finally did fight our way out of there and get back to our lines, we was able to give the information to headquarters so that they could fix it up so our troops would not get caught in the same thing as we did.
Right. Well, how about these Chinese, Tom? What do you think of them as fighters?
Well, at first they had their professional soldier, which had been paid, and he fought for quite some time, so he knew how to fight. But now they've been grabbing anything they get their hands on from farms, and they're not well equipped and not well trained, and some of them gave up easy. But at first, some of them are fight pretty hard, and they fight till they're dead.
This withdrawal of ours, south below the 38th parallel, what was it like, Tom?
Well, it was played on a leapfrog basis, where one division would move back behind, say, 2 divisions and set up a rear guard action. Then the other 2 divisions would move behind them. And they kept that up. They'd just leap one division behind the other one all the way back. And
the one that stayed behind got it plenty rough, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
Right. Well, now, how about the air support you got as you were withdrawing?
Well, we had wonderful air support, especially with fighter planes, which slowed the enemy up from advancing on us too fast.
They used a lot of napalm, Tom?
Yes, they did. Napalm could cover a ridge and wood area very wonderfully, and whatever it hit, it would just burn up quickly.
That would really dig them out, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes. And it hit a tank, it'd just burn everything in it and the crew in the tank.
Well, Tom, let's watch the Air Force now as they make it pretty uncomfortable for the Chinese.
As Chinese and North Korean ground forces occupy the ruined land for which they are paying so dear a price, fighter bombers of the UN Air Force fly constant sorties to harass and impede their movements and to destroy their supplies. The merciless blasting is in line with our determined efforts to prevent the enemy from marshaling sufficient troops for a major push before the UN forces have time to consolidate their strength in their new positions. Enemy strength that was to have been pitted against the outnumbered UN troops disappears in flashes of flame and puffs of smoke. After identifying their targets, our planes swoop down like avenging shadows of death and destruction. from North Korean prisoners indicate that the incessant air attacks are wreaking havoc with troop morale. The enemy is kept off balance and prevented from holding the tactical initiative.
Those were the events that comprised the big picture from December 20th, 1950 to January 20th, 1951. Our thanks to Corporal Jim Jankowski and Corporal Tom Miller for being with us. Next week, the big picture will show the United Nations forces moving north. You'll see the Army's 24th and 25th Infantry Divisions in the attack. And you'll hear from another combat veteran, an Army soldier who saw, as it happened, a part of the big picture. This is Captain Carl Zimmerman inviting you to be with us then.